What's up, y'all? It's Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. As always, we'll start with hockey and the Washington Capitals. So for the Capitals, Sunday was a little bit of a humbling experience, falling 5-1 in Toronto thanks to 5 straight goals scored by the Maple Leafs. The loss drops the Caps to 26-20-6, 58 points. They are 4th in the Metropolitan Division. If the season ended today, they would play Carolina in the first round. The Capitals currently sit at 5-7-1 in the month of January with 1 game left to go in the month. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Capitals, only 1 game this week. That's on Tuesday when they close out the month of January by traveling to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets come in at 15-32-3, 33 points, last in the Metropolitan Division, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Columbus is coming off a 3-1 loss in Seattle on Saturday. They've lost 2 in a row. This is the third of 4 between the Caps and the Jackets. Washington leads the season series 2-0. They beat Columbus 6-2 in Columbus on January 5th, then beat the Blue Jackets again 1-0 in D.C. on January 8th. Now we move to basketball and the Washington Wizards. So the Wizards are picking up steam again. A 113-103 win in New Orleans on Saturday was what happened last time they stepped out. The win improves the Wiz to 23-26. They're the 9 seed in the East. So if the season ended today, they would play Chicago in the play-in tournament. In the month of January, the Wizards are currently 7-5 with 1 game to go in the month. So here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Wizards, the week begins tonight when they wrap up the month of January by heading to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. The Spurs are currently 14-36, 14th in the West, ahead of only Houston. If the season ended today, they'd miss the playoffs. San Antonio is coming off a 128-118 overtime loss against the Suns on Saturday. They've lost 5 in a row. This is the first of 2 between the Wiz and the Spurs. Last season, San Antonio swept the season series against Washington. For the Wizards, the month of February begins on Wednesday when they head to Detroit to take on the Pistons. The Pistons are currently 13-38, last in the East, so if the season ended today, they'd miss the playoffs. Detroit's coming off a 117-114 loss against the Rockets on Saturday thanks to 24 points by Eric Gordon. This is the second of 3 between the Wiz and the Pistons. Washington leads the season series 1-0 after beating Detroit 120-99 in D.C. on October 25th. On Friday, the Wizards return home to host the Portland Trail Blazers. The Trail Blazers are currently 23-26, 12th in the West, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Portland's coming off a 123-105 loss against the Raptors on Saturday, thanks to 27 points by Precious Achiuwa. This is the first of 2 between the Wiz and the Blazers. Last season, Portland swept the season series against Washington. And for the Wizards, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. The Nets are currently 30-19, the 4 seed in the East, so if the season ended today, they would play Cleveland in the first round. Brooklyn's coming off a 122-115 loss a win over the Knicks on Saturday, thanks to 32 points by Kyrie Irving. This is the last of 4 between the Wiz and the Nets. Brooklyn leads the season series 3-0. They beat Washington 128-86 in D.C. on November 4th, beat the Wizards again 113-107 in Brooklyn on November 30th, and beat the Wizards one more time 112-100 in D.C. on December 12th. And now we move to college basketball and the 6th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers. So Virginia's hot too. They're coming off a thorough win, a 76-57 win over Boston College on Saturday. The win improves the Cavaliers to 16-3, 8-2 in the ACC. They sit in second place behind only Clemson. And in the month of January, they're 6-1. As of the latest bracketology, Virginia is a 3 seed. So here's the week ahead for the Wahoos. For Virginia, the week begins tonight as they close out the month of January up in Syracuse, taking on the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse comes in at 13-9, 6-5 in the ACC, 9th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Syracuse is not in the field. The Orange are coming off an 85-70 loss at Virginia Tech on Saturday. They've lost 2 in a row. This is the last of 2 between Virginia and Syracuse. The Cavaliers lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Orange 73-66 in Charlottesville on January 7th. And for Virginia, the week concludes on Saturday when they open up the month of February in Blacksburg, taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies. Virginia Tech is currently 13-8, 3-7 in the ACC, 12th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Virginia Tech is not in the field. The Hokies are coming off that same 85-70 win over Syracuse on Saturday. They've now won 2 in a row. This is the last of 2 between Virginia and Virginia Tech. The Cavaliers lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hokies 78-68 in Charlottesville on January 18th. Up next, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. So Maryland starting to string wins together once again. Last time out, an 82-63 win over Nebraska on Saturday. The win improves the Terrapins to 14-7, 5-5 in the Big Ten. They won 2 in a row and sit in 8th place in the conference standings. In the month of January, Maryland is 4-4, and as of the latest bracketology, Maryland is in the last 4 byes. So here's the week ahead for the Terps. For Maryland, the week begins on Tuesday when they wrap up the month of January at home against the 21st ranked Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana comes in at 15-6, 6-4 in the Big Ten, 4th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Indiana is a 6th seed. The Hoosiers are coming off an 86-70 win over Ohio State on Saturday. They've won 5 in a row. This is the only meeting this season between Maryland and Indiana. And for Maryland, the week concludes on Saturday when they open up the month of February up in Minneapolis, taking on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota is currently 7-13, 1-9 in the Big Ten, last place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, obviously, Minnesota is not in the field. The Golden Gophers are coming off an 81-61 loss at Northwestern on Saturday. They've lost 5 in a row. This is the first of 2 between Maryland and Minnesota. Up next, let's talk about the Virginia Tech Hokies. So you've heard what happened last time Virginia Tech took the floor, a win over Syracuse. You've heard their record. You've heard who they opened up the month of February against. But here's how they closed the month of January. On Tuesday, Virginia Tech will be in Miami taking on the 23rd ranked Miami Hurricanes. Miami comes in at 16-5, 7-4 in the ACC, 6th place in the conference standings. And as of the latest bracketology, Miami is a 5 seed. The Hurricanes are coming off a 71-68 loss at Pitt on Saturday thanks to 21 points by Blake Hinson. This is the first of 2 between Virginia Tech and Miami. And finally, let's talk about the Georgetown Hoyas. So the good news is Georgetown eventually did snap that losing streak. They beat DePaul on Tuesday. The bad news is they may have potentially started another one the last time out. A 75-73 loss at St. John's on Sunday, thanks to 17 points by David Jones. The loss drops the Hoyas to 6-16, 1-10 in the Big East, last place in the conference standings. In the month of January, Georgetown is 1-7. As of the latest bracketology, obviously Georgetown is not in the field. So here's the week ahead for the Hoyas. For Georgetown, the week begins on Wednesday when they open up the month of February at home against the Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton comes in at 13-8, 7-3 in the Big East, 4th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Creighton is a 9 seed. The Blue Jays are coming off an 84-67 win over number 13 Xavier on Saturday, and they've won 4 in a row. This is the only meeting this season between Georgetown and Creighton. And for Georgetown, the week begins on Saturday when they welcome in the 24th ranked Connecticut Huskies. UConn is currently 16-6, 5-6 in the Big East, 6th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, UConn is a 5 seed. The Huskies are coming off an 82-79 loss against number 13 Xavier on Wednesday, thanks to 21 points by Soli Bohm. This is the last of 2 between Georgetown and UConn. The Huskies lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hoyas 84-73 in Stores on December 20th. And in off-the-court news, off-the-field news, no news to report on the Commanders' ownership sale front. We do have some Nationals news, though. The latest Masson appeal is being set now to be heard by the New York Court of Appeals on March 13th. That was announced today. And Kristaps Porzingis is good to go. He will make his return to the lineup tonight in San Antonio. And that's it for this update. Until next time, I'm Evan from DMV Sports Zone saying stay tuned for plenty of great content from Noah, Nadi, and Abdullah. And until next time, I'm signing off.